new video. You can go to whatever folder you want in your PC. You can git bash here, and that requires to have Gitlab installed. And all you need to do is to git clone and paste the URL of this GitLab project. So you can now see the into folder structure, and you see that inside here you got the same folder. And if you now go to download, folder structure is a new folder created with all these files. So what's the difference between clone and download? On the left I've got the downloaded version, on the right I've got the clone version. Basically the difference is that if I decide to create here a new folder called 5 meeting, there is no way I can easily push it back into GitLab. So if I think I can make this project better, I don't have a link back into GitLab. Whereas if I do it here, I can do that easily. I can create a directory. I can get inside the directory and I can create the meeting 1 minutes. Okay. Now there's a command called git status that is going to tell you that you created where is it saying? Okay, you got an untracked file, so you created a new file inside a folder git 5 meeting. To git add first, and then you commit, and then you push. At this stage you have to log in into GitLab. This means I'm uploading stuff on the server, and if you now go on gitlab.com, if you refresh, here you have the folder 5 meeting. So whoever joins the meeting, the team tomorrow, will be able to download an updated version of this file. And what you can do is to see the history of this work. So I created an initial commit on 4th of March, and I created another commit today on the 24th. So this is a very simple process, and this history can grow. The Dragon Ball sphere icon is Jamaria. Hope you can see it. Okay. And just yesterday he created a commit with the message. So the message of the commit basically says what he has done during this commit, and he created one the day before, and I created fewer earlier last week. The beauty is, if you click into one of these commit, if you click on the commit, you'll see how many files have been changed. It was just one, and basically 20 lines of code in a tag file have been added and 7 have been removed. And you can preview all the changes here. And again, this is basically a draft of a paper. And if you think that there is a typo, what you can do is to add a comment here and say Mattia, that's basically you can tag people. You can give a feedback directly here. Now, this is pretty much like a social media comment. The power of it is that you don't pollute or you don't create comments into the source file. You only create comments attached to this particular line on this particular commit. A Git project tracks files, folders, and all that. Gitlab takes that Git project and visualizes it here. So This project contains folders and files. The .git files are something used to Git for Git. You can tell Git which files to ignore, for example. If you know that you don't want to track HTML files created automatically by MATLAB or the .m tilde files, again temporary files created by MATLAB, that's where you can specify that. And then you got obviously all your folders, documentation. You can track anything. You can track code as well as PowerPoint slides. You can't visualize the slides here, but you can then download them. If you can open it with Notepad, it means it's an ASCII file. For example, if let's say this git ignore thing, I double click and I see text here. That means I'm looking at an ASCII file. This is a binary file. Okay, so Git will not be able to understand anything here, just like we don't. So because we can't see anything here, it means that the PowerPoint file is an ASCII file, is a binary file. Okay. Other files in the documentation that Jean-Marie and I have is this report, README or abstract. These are all ASCII file. Okay, you can see the if Gitlab can render the file, it will show something like this, and in a display source. And instead, if you in a rendered file, the rendered version, if you want to display just the source file, that's how the source file looks like. Readme.md markdown is essentially something very similar to HTML, and that's why GitLab is able to render it in header, link, and so on. Recently, GitLab has also created an IDE, a web IDE, which allows you to edit that file directly in the browser. So again, if that is a piece of information you want to edit here without downloading onto your local computer and then pull and push and so on, you can just add add a useless note here, and down here you can commit. Git will show you the differences. I think, yeah, here you have to create a commit message. Ignore this commit. You have to select a few things. And that's it. So if I now go to the home page of the server of this project, I'll see that this is the latest commit I created. Commit comes with a long unique string of characters. It will show that this is the commit I created. And again, if you look at the graph, you'll see that I created this extra thing up here. So it's very easy to use. It's actually really, really powerful. It takes a while to set it up. But the way it works is that every time you create a commit, GitLab will listen to your repository and is going to create a new job. A job is a set of tests that will be either passed or failed. If it's failed, GitLab will bounce you an email and say, I don't accept this commit because it breaks something in your code. If you look at the job itself, is essentially a long log file that goes from pulling a Docker image of a Linux system. So basically is creating in the cloud a new Linux computer, is where is it? Is downloading a certain branch of my repository, is updating Linux, is installing all the stuff I need, including CMake, and after compiling, it runs a lot of tests. This is okay. So these are all my tests. I've got, I don't know, maybe 100 tests in my C code, and what this line tells, it says that this particular test is running and is passed. If some of these fail, you'll get a report here, and then much later in Gitlab. These are the results. So how does a test look like? A test looks like a real number. So a test is asking my software, do 1 pi plus 1. If is equal to 2, then test is passed. If not, if not fails, and then you can do obviously a lot more complicated software. You can do a test on math as well as on memory check. Again, if you're a developer, you might be interested into all of this. And this is all stuff available on gitlab.com. Last thing, if you want to access the server we have in the lab, you have to be within the VPN, well, either in Backbrook or in the VPN. To go on VPN, what you can do is to install any Connect and then VPN or TeamViewer into a machine in Backbrook. This is my Linux machine in Backbrook at the moment. And if you want to access our own GitLab server, you have to type this address. Okay, it's penne, like the pasta, eng, aux, ac, uk, and then you have to have column 8000. Okay, and it brings you to this page. See the differences? Up here I've got gitlab.com. Down here I've got penne. Now if I try to access penne from this computer, which is at home, it will hang here forever because it's behind the university's firewall. Okay, if you can't access the server, it means you're not connected to VPN. So from Backbrook, you should all be able to access this web page. Actually, the moment you land on Penne, you'll be asked to sign in, obviously. Okay. Oopsie. You sign in, and then you can start creating a new project. You can create a new project, tell what this project is about. You can tell who is going to visualize, who's going to be able to see this project. If only you or people that you specify explicitly, anybody logged in or public. Effectively, in Backbrook, these two things will basically be almost the same thing. If I want to make it public, I can create the project, and that's it. GitLab will give you a warning here. That's a one-off setting you have to do, and then gives you instruction on how to create a new repository or start using GitLab, depending on what files you've got.